Welcome back to the Takeout. House members received a classified briefing on Iran today. Republicans and Democrats had very different interpretations of it, though. Speaker Mike Johnson said the officials made clear the strikes delivered a significant setback to Iran's nuclear program. But former Speaker Nancy Pelosi didn't think there was much in the briefing that wasn't already public. Delaware Democratic Congresswoman Sarah McBride joins us here in the studio. Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
First-term Democrat from Delaware who was in the briefing. What'd you make of it?
Well, first off, I think there are two important points that Democrats and Republicans are largely united on, and that is one, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That two, the valor and the skill of our service members is beyond question, including in this operation. I don't think any of us differ on the end goal here. I don't think any of us differ on the quality of the service members who executed this mission. What we have questions about are the process that led up to the decision for U.S. military action and the process moving forward. It is clear that this administration has stonewalled Congress. It's clear that they are trying to silence dissent within the intelligence community, not just on the question of Iran, but across issues over the last several months. And I think it raises serious questions about the decision-making of this administration and the reliability and trustworthiness of this administration and how we move forward from here. And I think given the consistent breach of trust between the public and the administration and Congress and the administration, it's critical that we assert our authority and that no military action can happen moving forward without our involvement. And I will just say that I think I'm heartened that I think Democrats and Republicans want to pursue a diplomatic solution to guarantee that Iran does not develop nuclear weapons. It's the only way we can genuinely guarantee that they don't. And I hope that the last couple of weeks don't undermine the path toward a diplomatic solution. Before
there was a ceasefire, there was some bipartisanship on this call for Congress to reassert the authorization of military force you just referenced. But now that there's a ceasefire that seems to be holding, it seems like there's a muted energy behind getting that vote for an authorization of military force. Are you still hearing that among members of the Democratic caucus, or has that quieted down?
Well, look, I think it's good that there's a ceasefire. We hope that it holds, and we hope that we're able to pursue a diplomatic solution here. But I think the concern remains that this administration requires all administrations require, but this administration in particular continues to require congressional oversight. Republicans in Congress consistently are abridging their responsibility to provide oversight of this administration, including in this context. And I think we're still eager to see action that guarantees that Congress fulfills its constitutional and I think moral obligation to provide oversight.
I'm going to pivot to this big spending bill that's going to consume the U.S. Senate over the weekend. There seems to be some log jams that have formed. We know you've opposed what's been put forward. Give us the top lines right now, what you see that Democrats are opposing. What are the key tentacles of this that you oppose?
Well, I think that the bill is obviously still in a state of flux in the Senate. But what's clear is that Republicans in Congress are hell-bent on cutting health care for millions of Americans in order to just partially pay for tax breaks for billionaires. You know, we're seeing some of the senators on the Republican side who initially said that they opposed cuts to Medicaid, now saying that they just want to go back to the House Republican bill. That is still a bill that would result in the loss of health care for more than 10 million Americans. Draconian, dangerous, and deadly cuts that would result not just in the largest cut in Medicaid in American history, but the single largest evisceration of health care in American history, period. And again, it's all to just partially pay for tax breaks for billionaires. This bill explodes the deficit. It rips health care away from people. And we'll see what happens with Republicans in the Senate. We'll see if they can square the circle and reconcile the seemingly irreconcilable promises they've made to different factions within their caucus. I won't hold my breath waiting for Republican members of Congress to stick by their principles.
Is it possible they do box you in at opposing this because you'd therefore be opposing the tax cuts that are extended as part of the bill, and they could paint you as somebody against tax cuts?
Well, we've made clear from the start that we are open to a bipartisan solution that makes permanent or perpetuates the common sense tax cuts that were included in the 2017 bill. But this goes far beyond that. And it's clear that the American people are on our side. Not only do the polls consistently show that the American people are overwhelmingly against this legislation, but the calls that I get from Delawareans who are scared about the impact on health care, on food assistance, on basic government services that they fear, and rightfully so, would be the outcome of this legislation, shows that the American people see through this. We've been open to bipartisan solutions. Republicans chose a dangerous partisan vehicle for this. And the American people and Democrats in Congress, I think, are consistently and united in opposition to it.
Just a moment left. We had services for the two murdered Minnesotans in Minnesota today. What level of concern, how high a level of concern do members of Congress have about personal safety at this moment in time?
First off, the tragedy in Minnesota is beyond words. I know all of us, our heart breaks for the family members of those killed, to the lawmaker and his spouse who are recovering. And it reinforces the danger that comes from the toxicity and division in our politics in this moment. And I think there is real fear among elected officials at every level about the rise in political violence. And it's important for us to not only speak out against it, but to make sure that we have appropriate protocol in place, appropriate security to protect the safety of elected officials, staff, everyone who enters the Capitol.
Do you have enough right now?
No, and I think Leader Jeffries has met with Speaker Johnson, and I do believe that there's some momentum moving forward to address that. We haven't seen the proposal yet, but we certainly need it. And that's not just in our interest, that's in the interest of all Americans, because we cannot have a democracy if anyone is opting out of running for office or serving in public office because they fear for their safety.
Congresswoman Sarah McBride, thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for having me.